Hello. Is anybody there? Hello, guys. Welcome to a live chat. Please let me know if you can see and hear me. It has been quite a while since I've done a live. I've never done one in my office, so I'm very excited about that. And let me know what time is it where you are and where are you tuning in from. I would love to know. Hopefully this is working. Can you guys hear me okay? I hope this sound working. Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat. Hopefully, I have never used this particular platform. They've changed it a lot since I went live last. I hope this is working. Let me do that. Okay, thank you, Amy. Like, can anybody hear me? Okay, so tonight we are going to be talking about productivity, time management, balance, planning, all those things. Thank you guys. Okay, people are saying they can hear me now. I'm like, okay, I see people are on, but so that's what we're talking about tonight. But for sure, if you have any other questions for me, leave them in the comments and I'll answer them even if they're unrelated. But I have a whole bunch of questions that I had asked on YouTube and Instagram quite a while ago, actually. So I haven't actually read these for a while because I sat down to film this video and I was like, you know what? I just am not feeling it. Let's do a live because I haven't done one in so long. So let me know, guys, how are your Christmas preparations going if you celebrate Christmas? Do you have all your presents purchased? Are they wrapped? This holiday is a week away. And I actually, my two older girls were with Nana, my mom, today and tonight, which is so nice. Can I tell you how nice it is once in a while? All moms, I'm sure, agree to have your kids away for a while. So I got to actually build two of their presents. I got them, if you watch my Christmas gifts video, it came and I assembled it. A doll bunk bed for their Our Generation dolls. It has two bunks with a trundle, so they can fit three dolls. So I built that today, and then I built I turned a 3x3 cube unit into a dress-up storage thing. So I built that today too. So I gotta hide those before they come back over. Amy, you are doing your rest of your shopping and wrapping this weekend. Good. Yeah, I feel so weird, like, 'cause I wrapped a couple weeks ago with Sam. I just have mostly his gifts and just a couple to wrap this week, but I've never been so far ahead, and it's kind of nice because I kind of forgot what I got all the girls. And so when they open the presents, it's kind of be a surprise for us too. So I'm excited. I love giving kids gifts because I always feel like I go way overboard, and I don't mean to, but I just love it. And then there's the aftermath. But I think this year I was so strategic with what I got that hopefully I won't be overwhelmed afterwards. But I'm just going to jump into the questions since a few people are on now, and let me know. Hey, Courtney. I'm all done. First time ever. That's awesome, Erica. Katie, you're all wrapped up. That's awesome. Summer season. I love the dramatic closet idea with cubes. Not my idea. I found it on Pinterest or something, but I'm such a researcher. I'm like, how can I find something that's cheaper? But my brain can't like figure out a plan on its own. So I like to take other people's ideas for stuff like that. So somebody else had come up with using it was $40 for the 3x3 cubes from Target. It's the Room Essentials brand. So it's the 11x11 cubes that can fit in. And then you just put like one column of the shelves. So you have 3 shelves that you can put bins in or just stack stuff on. And then you have what would have been 6 cubes worth of open space. And then you put a tension rod and some hangers, and then you can hang your dress up clothes. I'm really, really excited about that. Wow, you guys are on top of things. That's awesome. Amy, I like when I forget and get surprised with my 6-year-old. It's so fun. Christmas is so much more fun when you have kids to look at it through their lens. But anyway, okay, I'm going to jump into questions. If you guys have any questions, pop them in the comments. I haven't read these for quite a while, so I don't even know what I'm going to be saying or answering. Where should I begin? And just FYI, Gwenny, as always, knows when I'm trying to do something, and she was having trouble falling asleep. So I'm hoping I don't have to nurse her, because I'm like, am I going to nurse her covered, of course, but like, am I going to nurse her on live YouTube, or is Sam going to come and answer some questions? Hopefully that won't have to happen either way. But just letting you know that is a possibility, because I'm a mom. You guys get it. That's what I love about this community. You guys get it. And we're all in this together, and motherhood is crazy, and we do things we never thought we'd ever have to do. Okay, so somebody asked, let's see. I'll start with this one. What is your schedule for which days you deep clean and which days you do house paperwork? Okay. If you rewound a year, I would have had a much better answer for this. But then I got pregnant and COVID started and I had another baby and distance learning. And I talked about this in my most recent vlog, but I know not everybody watches every single video, and that's totally okay. I am letting go of needing to perfectly run my house. Now, I've never perfectly run my house, but I'm letting go of the feeling like I'm failing or I'm less than because of that, because I always feel like I kind of like feel ashamed about it, or like I'm not as good as other moms because I don't have a perfectly clean house. Like I don't deep clean the fridge often or clean my windows all the time or ever. And stuff like that. Like we do the surfaces, we do the floors very often, toilets and stuff like that, that like high frequency items and areas get cleaned a lot, but the deep clean, I'm just letting go of right now. Although today I did like vacuum under the cushions of our couch because I was thinking about it and I didn't have any kids around. So I just kind of do those things when I have time. I am all about like work-life glue. And sometimes your glue means you don't have time for this extra stuff. Like you got to do what you got to do to survive and stay sane. And I'd much rather have some dust in my house in deep places that we don't touch very often, but be an overall sane mama than be super stressed, but everything's super clean. So that's my answer for that. As far as house paperwork, I'm trying to do paperwork once a week, but since I'm doing Vlogmas right now, that's kind of out the window. But I've been trying to get back into record keeping, because I know if you do daycare or any business on your own, unless you have somebody who does your bookkeeping, it can get really overwhelming come tax time next year. So I'm trying to stay on top of that and get that ahead of time. I have my Sunday basket, which I've done a few videos on, that I try to do once every couple weeks. I don't do it every week like I probably should, but not a lot of stuff really gets thrown in there. It's mostly stuff that needs to get shredded, quite honestly. So I just tackle that when it's kind of getting overflowing, if that makes sense. Okay. And like I said, just if you have any more questions, just pop them in the comments. Okay. How long do you try something like a new routine before you decide if it works or not? That is a very good question. So, okay. I don't have like a hard and fast rule when it comes to routines. I change them a lot because I just feel like I'm constantly in a new season of motherhood. You know, when you have growing kids and you're adding more, every month is different, I feel like. So I try to stick to them for quite a while. What I usually do as far as like keeping track, I will sometimes make like this summer, or probably even sooner than that, earlier than that, in the spring when everything shut down and I closed my daycare. So that was probably around May. I made a block schedule basically for our girls and me for what was happening when. And we did that for quite a while. And then when school started, we kind of changed that up. So, and I'm constantly like adding in little routines, like how could I make my morning routine more efficient, or how could we change bedtime around to make that more efficient, or, you know, and now with distance learning, I really revamped things to make it work. So I don't have like a hard and fast rule, like I'll try it for 3 weeks. I just kind of test it out, try it for a few days, and if it seems to be going well, I will maybe tweak a few things and keep going. or I'll say this is horrible and scratch that and start over, or I'll kind of fall off because I'm human. And I feel like so much stuff's changing all the time right now for all of us, I'm sure, that I don't really have like a hard and fast rule for that. But I try it until I either need to make it better or take it away and start over, I guess. I don't know if that's helpful at all. How do you bring balanced routines back when you are overwhelmed? I wish I had more context for this question because I implement routines when I'm overwhelmed. Like that's what I do to get unoverwhelmed, to get whelmed, to get underwhelmed, to get back to normal. So yeah, I feel like that question is asking when you're overwhelmed and things just kind of fall apart, how do you get back into a routine? But for me and my personality type, how I get back, how I am no longer overwhelmed is by creating structure and routine, if that makes sense. So I don't know. Like I don't know how to answer that because that is what I do. How do I do it? I just do it and that helps me. I don't know. I guess I what do I do? Let me really think about this. I sit down, I do like a brain dump of everything that's overwhelming me. And then I try to kind of look at it big picture and say like, okay, what things could I group together? When could I do this? Do I need a day of Stan watching the girls or my mom watching the girls or the girls watching a movie? Like recently, I was getting really overwhelmed with the cleaning. Okay, this is a true story. This was a few weeks ago on a Saturday. I went to clean the toilet. I think I talked about this in one of the vlogs. And we have a 70s house, and everything in our house, for the most part, is from the 70s. The toilet is probably from the 70s. And I just noticed like gross stuff in areas that I had never noticed it before and was trying to clean it. And then like one thing led to me noticing something else that was dirty, which led me to notice something else that was dirty. And I was just getting super overwhelmed by a bathroom that really needs to be remodeled, is quite honestly. Like it's too far gone in some ways. Like we clean it, but it's just too far gone. And I ended up just like saying screw it, and I like almost started crying, and I went into one of the girls' rooms and they were downstairs, and I just like had a moment of like overwhelm, and Stan found me and was like, okay, what can we do? And because I get so overwhelmed, like once I start cleaning, then I notice other things, and then I notice other things, and then I notice other things, and then I just get super overwhelmed. So he and I took a step back and said, okay, what can we do to help this? First of all, I was like, you need to clean the toilet because I can't look at it anymore. And he got it clean. It was fine. But I was just, it's kind of like in marriage where you let things get swept under the rug and then eventually resentment happens and you kind of explode. It's kind of like that. Like I had been noticing a lot of things like, oh, I really need to clean that. And that's kind of getting wacky and this and that. And now we're doing distance learning and I don't have time for any of this. And the kids are crazy. I just had like my explosion moment, I guess. Anyway, so what we did was we said, okay, when could we clean? Like, when could we take an hour to just clean and do any of those things that are overwhelming you? And Sam's really good at like, okay, Sarah, calm down, take a step back. And I was like, you know what? When the girls watch a movie on Friday nights, why don't I just clean so that we're starting the weekend fresh? And so I don't do that every week, but if I'm feeling that like, oh my gosh, there's so much that needs to get done and I don't have time to do it, feeling in regards to our house, then I will do that while they're watching a movie. That's what we came up with. So to answer that question, I guess I just take a step back and like think of how I could restructure things. When could I fit in those things that are overwhelming me? Or I have to really say, I have to let that go. What things do I have to let go right now? And that's really, really, really hard for me. But nobody can do it all. Okay, let me make sure I'm getting to you guys. I hope that made any kind of sense. Courtney, in the moment, what do you do? In the moment, what do I do? I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I do in the moment. You guys ask good questions that really stump me. I don't know. I'll have to come back to that. So far, is going from 2 to 3 kids easier or harder than you were expecting? I never expected to go from 2 to 3 kids during a pandemic when my 5-year-old would be distance learning. So it's been exponentially harder than I ever thought, but I don't think that really has to do with going from 2 to 3 kids. It's more of the timing of when it happened. At first, it was pretty easy. Now, it's not even going the 2 to 3 kids. I think it's just the pandemic and the distance learning and this extra stress on our kids and the extra stress on us and never getting to leave. Like, I really can't answer that honestly because I don't have anything to compare it to. Like, had I had Gwen a year ago, I think it'd be going pretty well. But I think parenting in general right now for most people is really hard. So it's hard. It's hard. And Gwen, thank God, is like the easiest baby. We are, working on naps, but she's so mellow and sweet and lovely. And so are both my other girls. It's just been, this whole thing has been really hard on a 3 and 5-year-old and me and my husband. And so it's just been hard. I don't have a good answer for that. I would not recommend having a baby during a pandemic, but I had no clue when I got pregnant last year that this was going to happen. So anyway, do you struggle with distance learning? Do I struggle? Okay. If you watched my vlog, was it 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago? Yes, I was struggling because we had started, but we didn't have any live sessions. And so I was like, oh, this is pretty easy. And then we threw in the live sessions, and I find my 5-year-old gets really like hyperactive after her live sessions end, and it's hard to get her to come down from that. And it's hard to keep my 3-year-old away from her, but still be able to help my 5-year-old. And it's just a lot of stuff. And I know everybody's distance learning or virtual learning or whatever you guys call it, wherever you live, looks different. Every district is doing it differently. For our 5-year-old, it is a lot of me having to help her. She does the lives with her teacher, but every day I still have to run up to help her because she accidentally clicked something wrong, or she can't get unmuted, or something happened, or whatever. And then my 3-year-old tries to follow me, and then the baby starts crying, or whatever. Like, we've had some very chaotic moments, but hopefully teachers and other families are understanding of that. But now it's getting better because I really sat down and thought, how could we do this better? So I decided where we would put our 5-year-old, what I would do with my 3-year-old to really get her to focus on something else so she's not wanting to join the 5-year-old, when we will do the worksheets so that she can actually focus, but I can still have me time during nap time and that kind of thing. So that really took taking a step back and really analyzing everything, which is what I do. Okay. Do you think the expectation you have for yourself and your family makes things harder and more stressful at times? I find sometimes I do that to myself. I can maybe see it in you. For sure. I mean, I think anytime we put expectations, like, we're bound to be let down. But that being said, like, I wouldn't change that about myself because I really take great pride in having high expectations and trying to reach them. Like, I never want to be a person I want to be content, but I don't want to be complacent, if that makes sense. So I always am wanting to get better. Does that kick me in the butt sometimes? Yes, because when you have little kids, like, you don't care what your expectations are, like, or they care and they want to figure out how they can, like, go against your expectations. So yeah, that's hard. And I think, Stan will attest to this. We've talked about it a lot, he and I, of like, sometimes my expectations of him are unrealistic, or my expectations of myself are unrealistic, and then I get stressed out. But do I think that means like lower all expectations? No, I think it just means take a breath, like when I'm getting overwhelmed and reassess. I don't know. I don't know if that's helpful. Okay. Oh goodness. Are you, a lot of people have been asking about waking up at 4 a.m. Are you still waking up at 4 a.m.? And if so, what time do you go to sleep at night? So yes, I am waking up. I'm waking up between like 4:30, if I'm being honest. My alarm goes off at like 3:50 or 4, and I hit snooze a couple times, and then I feed Gwen, and then I head downstairs most days. Some days if I don't have anything I need to do, or the baby was up a lot, like I think that was 2 nights ago. She was up like 3 times in the night. So I slept till like 5:45 so I could get ready. And then my girls got up at 6. So what was the question? So yeah, I get up at 4. As far as sleep, quite honestly, on a normal night, it's 7:20 where I live. Normally I would just be sitting down on the couch after getting the girls down, or around this time, or I would shower like by 7:40 usually. Be sitting down on the couch, then I try to find something to watch, and then within like half an hour, I'm usually asleep on the couch. And then Sam will eventually be like, okay, the baby's crying, you got to get up, or it's time to go to bed. It's more often than not, I'm asleep by like 8:30 on the couch. But I try to be in bed by 9 so I can get 7 hours of sleep. Obviously, Gwen gets up at least once a night, but it's literally like 10 minutes of me like half asleep nursing her and then laying her back down, and then she goes right back to sleep. So I love it. To me, everybody has different amounts of sleep that they need and get different quality of sleep. I've just grown really used to it. I feel so much happier and calmer and more patient when I get up and get something done before my girls wake up. I feel like I'm ready for them. Whereas when I wake up to them or right before them, I get really overwhelmed sometimes, because at least my children, like the second they're up, I don't know, it's like they never went to bed and they're just like, woohoo, woohoo, like they don't have like a waking up phase. It's just automatically wide awake. And so I need some time to get to that place so that I'm at that same level when they get up. How to last long on YouTube. Can you, Kristen, can you tell me more of what you mean by that? Like, are you asking me how to last a long time on YouTube? What do you mean by that? Like, how, I don't know. Can you give me more information? Do you think you will stay in your current home? You mentioned a couple of times about being in a split level, but can't tell if you like it or not. Okay. I love our house for sure. I feel super blessed. This is like a dream house when we found it compared to our old house and what we could afford where we used to live. I love our house. I think it has a lot of amazing characteristics. I love the neighborhood. I love the school district. I love the crime rates where we live, our yard. But like any type 1 Enneagram, I can always find things to improve. So I've been learning a lot about the Enneagram, and I've just been laughing about how type 1 I am and didn't realize. So yes, I would definitely change some things. I think if I could have a playroom right off the living area, that would be perfection. But it's just not a possibility. But I just talked about this on Instagram, and I don't know how many of you guys saw that, but we are going to be moving around. Every single person is going to be sleeping in a new room within, I don't know how many months. I'm not going to put months on there because Sam will freak out if I tell him what I'm actually thinking. So this office is going to actually become our bedroom, mine and Sam's. And the room next to this is going to be my office. And then our current bedroom will become Celia's room. Bryony's room / the nursery will be Gwen, our baby's room. And then Celia's current room is going to become Bryony's room. And I don't know why I never really thought about this before. I think because I was doing daycare down here and it just never really occurred to me, or I just thought, my kids are too little to sleep away from them. But now our 2 older ones rarely get up in the night. And so I would much rather let them have their own room and just stay a little saner. and have areas for them to go. But yeah, I mean, I assume we'll move one day, but us moving bedrooms, I think, will really help us live here longer. I'm thinking longer term by doing that, because I think if our girls each have a space, because of our split level, I feel like there's not really anywhere anybody can really be alone in the living areas because they're just so close to each other. Um, but if they have their own bedroom to go, I think that will help. Okay, Kristen, thank you. How to keep motivated making videos? That's a good question. I think it's okay to take a break. You know, especially at the beginning of my last two pregnancies, I took a break because I think I did. I at least cut back because I was so sick and I was not motivated and I didn't want to do anything except sleep and try not to throw up, quite honestly. So during those seasons, you know, I try to reevaluate and I might cut back to only like one video a week or no videos for a while. But I think for me, it's just to stay motivated is just trying to think of new things. Um, you know, I try to just that's why I like my channel, because I just talk about things that I'm passionate about and then I'll always be passionate about. And like, you know, it kind of changes as I change. And like, I'm not talking about daycare anymore because I'm not doing daycare, but I've been talking about decluttering a lot because that is something I'm into. And I'm going to be, you know, talking more about, you know, things as my girls get older, activities to do with kids and stuff like that. So I would say, you know, make sure you're making videos that you're passionate about. And if not, like, think of a way you could be more passionate about it or make it more fun. Um, I don't know. You know, there are times where I'm like, ugh, but I usually end up changing the video topic if I am not feeling like I really want to do it, because I feel like people can sense that, and there's no point in making it if it's not going to be fun for you, and then it's not going to be fun for people to watch. Would you ever go back to doing daycare? And also, how is with raising all your girls and keeping them somewhat calm? Oh my gosh. Okay. Would you ever go back to doing daycare? Yes, I would if we had to. That's been the only reason I quit, was because I knew I could go back, if that makes sense. So it didn't feel very risky because I can always go back. Do I plan to go back? No, but it's always an option. I also did not even plan to close this year. So like I've said for years, I don't know what the future holds, and I'm open to anything, but I don't foresee that, at least not anytime soon. How is raising all your girls and keeping them somewhat calm? Can somebody answer that for me? Because I do not keep my kids calm. If you guys actually saw the loudness of my house half the time, I don't like to share specifics about my kids. I've become way more private with them in the, you know, last couple years, just because, you know, especially as our oldest gets older, like she's in school, like her friends might be watching this stuff. Like, I don't really want any of her personal information out there, other than saying things in ways that could help other moms, if that makes sense. But my girls are not calm. I don't know if that's what all girls are like, or I was a very hyper child. Like, I try to forget that about myself, but I was. I remember being at birthday parties and a girl told me later on in elementary school, like, my mom doesn't want to have you over because you're so hyper. So I know where they get it from. But yeah, it's craziness. But I get criticism sometimes because I have a lot of structure with my kids. But I was just talking to Sian about this tonight. I am actually a very flexible, like, you know, you do what you want to do and I'll do what I want to do kind of person. But my kids have a lot of trouble with like lots of open-ended time. Our 3-year-old, especially, our 5-year-old, I think would be great with that. If she was our only child, I think she would go find something to do and play, and we'd interact and be around each other, but not necessarily doing the same thing and structuring our day. But now with our 3-year-old, she's a very, very busy child. So she's literally like, I'm going to go upstairs and then I'm going to go do Play-Doh. And now, oh, now I heard this. So I'm going to go do that. And oh, what's mom doing? I'm going to go mess with that. And like within 10 minutes, she's like ran around the whole house. And I'm just like, I need a little more, like bring it down a notch. And so that's why I do more structure, because it helps me stay saner, because then she's not running all over the place all the time. And I think our kids do need boundaries. And I'm trying to teach them like, okay, we choose an activity and then we deepen our enriching, play with it. And I don't know. And I know they're little, so their attention spans are short, but I'm working on that every day with them, but it is hard. So I try to usually just be like, okay, we're going to stay in this room. You can do what you want in this room, but we're not running all over the house. I don't know if anybody else has that issue, but it is an issue at my house. And some people maybe wouldn't care, but I'm learning to come to terms with who I am and that God made me this way. And yes, I can improve, and yes, I can let things go. But I also have my own limits and my own stressors and triggers, and I need to be cognizant of that and parent in a way that isn't going to be stressing me out all the time, if that makes sense. So you got to give yourself grace and know your limits and know what really triggers you, and figure out ways to let your kids be kids within certain parameters that's not going to set you off, if that makes sense. Okay, your kids are super active. I think you can keep up with them though. Yes, they are very, very, very active. Let's see. Did you keep a bookkeeper? Did you use a bookkeeper when you were running your daycare? I did not. I mean, I had somebody do our taxes, an accountant, but I did all the bookkeeping. I actually have an Excel spreadsheet that people have purchased, and it's really helped them. I still use it even now, because it can work with lots of businesses, but it was specifically made for daycare providers. I don't know anyone, honestly, at least where I live, that uses a bookkeeper, but you definitely could. It's just definitely an extra expense. And when so much of what you buy can be written off, I think it would be hard to figure out like how to have them figure it out. But I've also never worked with a bookkeeper, so I don't really know how it works. What are some things you do if you are stressed? It really depends on what is stressing me out. If it's my kids, in the moment, what do I do? I usually will try to go outside if we can, because usually if they are stressing me out, it's because they have so much energy. So I try to get them outside so they can just burn it. And, they're not going to be doing things that drive me crazy outside, because they can just run around and play. If our house is stressing me out, like I shared in that story earlier, I will reevaluate things. I will just stop whatever it is I'm doing, because sometimes cleaning stresses me out because I just keep seeing more things. So I will just stop and reevaluate and come back later when I'm in a better headspace. Sometimes I cry when I'm stressed. Sometimes I will vent to a friend. And that's, when I get the planner out and start just like, I'll tell Stan, like, okay, I need a second to go process. And I will get I have a notebook that has just like stuff written all over, and I'll kind of like put stuff in different areas. Cause sometimes I get stressed out by work-life glue. Like, okay, how am I going to do podcast episodes and this and that and this? So I'll sit down and kind of write out like, what could I do on each day of the week, every week to, make sure I'm getting to everything. And a lot of times for me, writing stuff down helps me not stress about it anymore, because I know it's accounted for and that I will remember it. But when it's just floating around in my head, I get really, really stressed. So those are some things I do. Let's see. I'm so excited to follow your journey of moving bedrooms, because I'm in the same boat. Thank you. Yes, I'm excited too. I think this will be a fun thing to show you guys and share with you guys. I love your office. Thank you, Chelsea. What is your favorite part about having that new office space? Well, it's going to be moving soon. I am a little sad about that, but this room is so big. Like I really did not need this big of an office. I love, honestly, I love coming down here at 4 a.m. because my kids can't hear me as well. I feel like they could just sense that I was awake when I was up in the living room working because I could literally see their bedrooms from where I was sitting, and I feel like they could hear me more. So I like having my own space that's, separated and that like they have to ask for permission to come into. Um, and I just like that it's pretty and like nobody else is messing with it. It's like the one area of the house that if it's messy, that's all on me and nobody else is messing it up. And when I leave it and come back, like it looks the exact same as I left it. There's not like little toys everywhere and stuff like that. So, and I love how it looks. I think it's really pretty. It's my style. Um, will you go back to teaching? As far as like in a school and not a daycare, I really don't foresee that. But like I always say, I don't know what the future holds. Okay, let's see. I have been really stressed out about what to teach my 3-year-old lately without being able to send her to preschool. Do you just have relaxed learning and not worry about formal learning too much? I am in this same boat right now. I am doing learning with our 3-year-old pretty much every day, but it's short. It's like half an hour most days of structured learning. I mean, they're learning all the time. We don't give them enough credit, or ourselves enough credit for how much they're learning all day. But as far as structured learning, I do about half an hour when our oldest daughter is doing her morning live with her class. She'll do that in the living room, and then we'll go down to the playroom. And I will do my Funshine Express stuff. So we'll do like the weather and the calendar, our question of the day, our feeling card. We'll do a craft usually, and it takes about half an hour. So I am doing stuff like that, but that's about it, And then, I mean, we do Play-Doh, we do reading, we sing songs all day. So it's not like they're not getting other stuff, but as far as like planned learning, that's about all I'm doing. And I've really had to just give myself grace with that because I was getting really stressed out by it, quite honestly. And I just had to be like, you know what? It's okay. Like all kids are having, excuse me, are learning less right now, most likely. And I just have to be okay with that. And she's got plenty of time. They all have, if your kid is 3, they have plenty of time. And the best thing for our kids is a mom who's not overwhelmed, quite honestly. I truly believe that. Like, if we're stressing ourselves out to teach them, but then we're getting upset with them over it, like that's not good for them. I'd much rather them just play and learn through play and, us be happy and have good interactions with them than be trying to learn, but we're stressed out by them, if that makes sense. Okay, got about 20 minutes. What would be a good question to answer? Do you still do miracle mornings? So I kind of addressed this in a vlog. I've been doing some more day in the lives. I am not doing the traditional miracle morning where I was, reading, journaling, exercising, all that stuff in the morning. Because I just find I cannot keep up with work life glue if I am trying to do all of that on top of editing. Like editing usually takes me my whole morning time, and now with the podcast too, like it takes time. So what I have sat down and really reevaluated and thought about was how could I fit that in somewhere else, because I found I'm just not reading as much as I used to. I'm not journaling as much as I used to. So what I do now, and this obviously will not work for everybody in whatever stage of life you're in or whatever job you have, but maybe this can help you just think of it in a new way. So San always, since we had kids, he has always gotten his hour to work out. We've preserved that time. We've protected that time for him because it's always been very important to him. It helps him de-stress. It helps him be healthy. It gives him some time alone and whatnot. And I've always really wanted to protect that time for him. He worked so hard for our family, so we protect that time for him. However, when it comes to me, I have a hard time stepping away from my family to go do something like that. I'm happy doing it when they're asleep, but right now I'm trying to work when they're asleep. And so that still doesn't leave me any time for self-care, basically. So what we do, San has been working a lot of like early mornings to like 2 o'clock, and he will come home and work out and have his hour. And then around, excuse me, I'm getting tired. Around 3, nap is over. We're transitioning to snack. He will usually take over from 3 to 4, and I will come down to our office and I will do exercise, and I will read, I will journal, and then I'll just have a little me time. I'm not the best at actually sticking to the stuff I'm supposed to be doing yet. I will get there. It's the end of the year. I don't know if anybody else finds yourself doing this, like, oh, I'll do it in the new year, like, 'cause I know I'm going to be eating crap the next 2 weeks, and so it kind of feels counterintuitive to be exercising, even though I know it's still good for me. But yeah, that's the plan. And I know he won't always have that schedule once one day things go back to normal. But that's what we're doing right now to fit it in. And I think it's really good for my kids, because you should have seen them one of the days when they came down crying, literally crying that they missed me. That just means I don't get away from my kids enough, because I was two flights of stairs away from them for, at that point, it had been half an hour, and they were crying that they missed me. So yeah, I need to get away from my kids more. Yeah, so I think it's good. Okay. Do you wake up at 4 a.m. on the weekend as well? Usually no. I still try to get up at like 5:30, just to like have a cup of coffee before the kids wake up, because I really do like waking up before them. But I only wake up at 4 on the weekends if, like, sorry guys, if I need to get something done that I have like a deadline for. What book are you currently reading? What do you think of Audible? Have you tried it? I love Audible. I just haven't found good enough sustained time to listen, because I feel like I'm constantly getting interrupted all day if I try to listen, like when I'm cooking or cleaning or that kind of thing. I usually only listen to like a podcast episode or a video, because at least those are shorter and can get broken up more. But with a book, like, I'd rather have like a longer stretch to listen, and I don't really have long stretches to listen. So I don't listen to a lot of books. Right now I'm reading The Whole Brain Child. I recently read like Have a New Kid by Friday. What was the other one I read? I don't know, but these are the two I also just got to read. The Lazy Genius Way. I don't know why I didn't know about this podcast until recently, because she's also a type 1, and I totally jive with that philosophy. And I also got The Child Whisperer by Carol Tuttle. So I've heard a lot of good things about that. If you can't tell, parenting is hard right now. So I'm reading parenting books. So yes. And what time do I go to bed? I'm usually in bed by 9, if not asleep on the couch earlier than that. Do you and the hubby get Christmas presents for each other that y'all don't know about? Yes, but we just order off of each other's Amazon wish list. Like, he and we're not like, gift giving isn't our love language. Mine is quality time and acts of service, and his is physical touch and words of affirmation. So we pretty much have all the others covered except for gift giving. Like, that's not our love language. Do I appreciate it? Yes. Do I love giving gifts? Yes. But he and I are totally okay with just buying each other stuff off of our Amazon wish list. To me, I'd much rather receive something that I actually want, because I am type A and Enneagram 1. So I'd rather get something that I chose. if that makes sense. And I think he's the same way. So we just put different things on our Amazon wish list. And so we're surprised by which of the items we get. And sometimes, our stockings and stuff will throw in other things, but and we have like a limit of $100 each for each person and that kind of thing. So yeah, we do. But it's nothing. I don't know. It's fun. Like I want our kids to see us giving gifts, but we really don't care that much about it, if that makes sense. Like he and I aren't ones like we don't give gifts on our anniversary really. Birthdays, we order off Amazon wishlist or we say, what do you want? Like it's just not a big deal to us. But if that is your love language, hopefully, you have talked about that with your partner. If it's their love language, you're taking that into consideration. So like saying words of affirmation are his. So for his birthday, he just had, often we will write each other like nice letters, but I just had a baby. Like I don't have the brain power for that right now. So what I did is I printed out a thing where we wrote down 25 things we love about Sam. And I had the girls each write a few or tell me a few. And then I wrote some things that Gwen loves about him and that I love about him. And we gave that to him as part of his birthday present because that is his love language. So for me, acts of service, like, having somebody come clean my house or stuff like that would be amazing. How long have you done YouTube? Oh goodness. I did my first YouTube video when we lived in our one apartment, which was like 2012, I want to say. So 8 years, but I mean, consistently was the last 5 years. But I was doing videos before that. So yeah, it's been a while. When did it get big? I don't know. I don't feel like it's big right now. So I don't know. I don't define big. To me, it's not big, but I don't know when you feel like it's big. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. Okay. Let's see. How are you handling COVID burnout and isolation as a mom? I am very, 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 very lucky that my mom lives close and that none of us are really going anywhere. And so she and I, and you may not agree with this, and that's your choice, of course. But we feel okay, and she feels okay watching our girls once a week for about 6 hours. I keep Gwen, and it was just Bryony when Celia was in school, and now she takes Celia too, because that way I get a work day, I get a guaranteed break. I mean, I still have Gwen, but at least a break from the noise a little bit and that kind of thing. So that's really, really helped. We once a week we go get our Aldi pickup and I listen to a podcast and I put a movie for them in the car so that it's quiet and they have something to do other than fight with each other in the back seat and drive me crazy, if I'm being completely honest. And it's fun for them. And I listen to a podcast up front and I get a Caribou coffee and I sip that and I drive around a little bit and then I go pick up our Aldi pickup and then I go pick up lunch from a drive-through. And that is our one thing we look forward to every week, which is so sad, but you do what you got to do. We try to get outside when we can, but it's getting colder, so it's harder. And making that time for myself, saying, okay, I need an hour. Like I never am away from my children. I'm never away from this house. I need an hour every day if I can to just be alone with my thoughts for a little bit. How do you goal set? Good question. I thought I would quickly talk about my planners for this year. I'm actually going to do a video on it soon. These are the bad boys, the bad girls for 2021. So for goal planning this year, I am using the Cultivate What Matters 2021 Power Sheets Goal Planner. I have used this in the past. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It has these amazing pages for you to really look back on your year, which is laughable now. And and think about like what things fire you up. What do you want to repeat more of in the new year? What are things you want to do less of? What are you going to say yes to? What are you going to say no to? That kind of thing. And so it really walks you through, getting to a place where, okay, that should be my goal. I've noticed that I've been thinking about that a lot. So then you set up your yearly goals, and then it's super beautiful. Also, you pick your word for the year, and then you like make a plan for each goal. Let me find one that I'm not like mortified showing you guys. Okay, yeah, I'll show you this one. I'm not gonna hide it. Okay, goal 3 for next year: nourish and love my body. Why? Because my body is my tool for everything else. I want to be healthy and love myself. I need to be a good example for my daughters. And then it says, what does success look like for this? Losing 30 pounds. Ugh. Healing my diastasis recti, feeling better in my skin. What might happen if I don't start or make progress on this goal? I might be unhealthy or sick. I'll feel bad about myself. Eventually, I won't be able to do the things I want to do. And then you can list people who would be positively affected by the goal, how you will have fun with the goal, and then you can write mini goals, like little things that can help you reach that goal. So I said like exercising for 20 minutes, 5 days a week. The Every Mother workouts, that's what I'm doing to heal my diastasis recti, healthy meal plans, intermittent fasting, drink lots of water, yada, yada. So I have 5 goals for next year, and I'm using this. And then every month you fill out, let me find it, I forget what they call it. Sorry, guys. Let me find it. I think it's called a tending list. So it's perforated. You take it out. You have your action items that you're going to do, your weekly action items and your daily action items, and this just keeps you on track to help you reach those goals and break them down. So that's what I'm doing for goal planning. And then as far as like just my everyday planning, I'm doing weekly planning in this Leafy Treetops planner, which has a weekly spread. So that's how I just kind of lay it all out so I can visually see my week and lay it out, and then I do a more detailed plan for each day that I just follow each day in my simplified planner, which I know is a lot, but it helps me. Okay. Okay. Jory, I would say big is when you have daycare providers still following you for tips and following your family's journey, even if daycare isn't your main focus. I don't know. Like, how did that happen? I guess just by being myself. And looking back, I started shifting away from daycare being my main focus a few years ago when I changed the name to Work Life Glue, because I knew eventually I probably wouldn't be doing daycare, and I liked daycare, but I didn't want that to be my sole focus for this brand. And so, while I talked about daycare here and there, I think I was trying to really think about how could I help working and or busy moms in general, through my experiences, through the things that I'm skilled at, through what works for me. And so I think by kind of shifting my brand in that way a few years ago, I think is how probably people still follow me. And I still do watch One Little Boy, not currently because he's home with his brothers who are doing distance learning. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't asked every single person, like, why do you still watch me? But I think, I try to be real and as authentic as I can be. I think I don't want to like bring other people down or tear other people down, but I think, as I consume content on YouTube, I find I want to see less and less of the perfect people who look perfect, who their videos are perfect. It's shiny and perfect and beautiful. And yes, they're fun to watch, but for me, I know that it makes me feel bad, because I can't measure up to that. And so while I know some people may definitely feel that way watching my videos, I try to also show the real side, like that, the hard parts as much as I can without, exploiting my children. And I get flack. I get flack for even sharing negative things. But to me, I have so many people reach out and say, thank you for telling me that you don't have it all together all the time, and telling me that your kids can be really difficult sometimes, and telling me that you're really stressed out. Like, it makes me feel like, okay, maybe I'm not alone, and maybe I'm not feeling like I thought I was. Maybe a lot of moms are feeling that way. So I try to be realistic. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. Do you use your Apple Watch? I want one and luckily can afford it. I don't know what I would really use it for. This is actually not an Apple Watch. This is a Fitbit, which was Sam's until he got the Apple Watch. So he has an Apple Watch. I think he likes it. I don't know. All I really do with this is look at the time and see my steps, but I'm probably not one to buy an Apple Watch because I just don't know what I would do with it, but Sam loves his. Do you have links or will you link the goal planner? Yeah, well, if you go to, I don't have like an affiliate link or anything, you guys, so no biggie. If you go to Cultivate What Matters, here, let me try to write this, hopefully it'll work. cultivatewhatmatters.com. Hopefully that will work. Yeah. So you go to the Power Sheets. This is the Power Sheets Goal Planner. That's not an affiliate link, but I paid for mine and I love it, and it's totally worth the money to me. I think you'd make a great life coach. Thank you. I am offering coaching if you guys are interested. I wouldn't call myself a life coach, but I like to think about how things could be done in a more productive way, in a way that maximizes your time, maximizes your efforts, and kind of help walk you through what your priorities are and how you can live your life in accordance with them, if that makes sense. So if you go to worklifeblue.com/podcast/coaching, you can find out more about that and email me about it if you're interested. But thank you for saying that. That's really sweet. I first stumbled upon your video when I searched on YouTube for toy declutter as I was overwhelmed with my kids' toys. I think you did it in a realistic and down-to-earth way. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I try to be me and be real, and I don't know. I mean, I also think I'm not as big as I could be, because I'm not willing to do things in a way that would bring me more views. And I know I plan this year. My plan is to really just have more fun and do the videos I want to do in a fun way and be creative. And I'm just feeling really excited about that. But I know if I took my glasses off and did myself up more and, all that kind of stuff, I'd probably get more views or have, prettier thumbnails with more of me, or, I don't know. I know there are ways I could get more views. I could show my children more, and I'm just not willing to do those things. But at the end of the day, it's not about that to me. It's about helping moms, and I'd much rather have a small community of people who like what I talk about and like my message for the realness that it is than compromise who I am, but get a bigger following and make a ton of money. Like, it's not about that for me. Oh, Vicki, thank you. Thanks to you, I have a successful daycare. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I love getting messages like that. It really does mean a lot. So thank you. If you guys have any last questions, I'll probably answer them now. Let's see if there's any good ones I had. How do you deal with the haters and rude comments? Whew, if you guys only knew. Most of the time, I just brush it off because it's just not a big deal to me. Because, there are people who don't really know me, and half the time it's like just laughable what people say. Oops, sorry. More recently, and I'm actually going to be kind of talking about this in tomorrow's weekly prep because I've been getting comments about my marriage that are just totally based off of falsities, like that make no sense, about how I'm like jealous of my husband and how I've been lost now that I don't do daycare, and um, just stuff like that. And that does bother me because it's false. Like, I have a very hard time being okay with letting things go when somebody has based something off of something that's completely false about me. I have a hard time not defending myself. So I do sometimes write back in the comments. I try to be very respectful, but I also will defend myself because if something's false, like I have a very hard time just letting that go. Um, but I know there's going to be rude comments. I know there's going to be haters. I don't get it. I don't get why people do that, but I know it's a thing. So I know it comes with the territory. But to me, I just think of all the good comments I get and the people who reach out and thank me. And, you know, if anything, like the people who reach out to me about infertility that have said our story has helped them, um, or have shared they've had a baby because of what I've shared about infertility. If you guys aren't familiar, like I have stories, videos about that, but um, that at the end of the day makes it all worth it to me to help someone who's struggling. And like, I recently shared about my postpartum depression story as my second episode of my podcast, which was really, really, really hard and scary. But I've had so many people reach out thanking me for that, for being so vulnerable and sharing the truth of it and the scary parts of it, so that they don't feel alone anymore. That makes the rude comments and the haters kind of disappear because I know I'm making some kind of difference in the world. Thank you. Have a Merry Christmas to you too. Okay. I think I'm just gonna wrap it up so I can go to bed and you guys can go to bed, but I appreciate you guys spending your Friday with me. Should I do more of these live Q&As? I don't know. I'd love to do them with Stan again. Those were really fun when he and I did them together, but let me know. I will have a video out tomorrow. My weekly prep will be out tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. But I hope you guys all have a very Merry Christmas. And I hope you get to spend time with family, however that looks this year. And I hope it's still super magical. Erica, my book club is not really happening anymore. That kind of fell off with COVID and pregnancy. So it's still there. People still join. I just haven't really been doing anything with it. And I don't know when I will be or if I will be. But thank you guys so much. Yeah, have a wonderful Christmas. And I will see you guys all soon. Bye, guys.